Coming up now on Animal Outtakes.
We give them as comfortable and natural an existence as we can and take really good care of them.
This state park offers visitors not just breathtaking scenery, but up-close encounters with native Florida wildlife. That's right, this Florida State Park is the only one that acts as an animal sanctuary as well. We're taking a tour of this gem.
She's just showing off to you.
And we'll see some of the park's biggest attractions, getting a rare glimpse of some of the resident animals. This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. Hello and welcome to Animal Outtakes. I'm Marcia Panucci, and this is my best friend, Zeus. It's a park like no other here in Florida. At the Homosassa Springs Wildlife State Park, visitors can see native Florida animals in a natural setting. A spring is a natural opening in the ground that allows water to flow up from the aquifer below. At Homosassa Springs, the water is crystal clear and the temperature is consistent, 72 degrees year-round. And it's the water that attracts visitors and animals. This area of Homosassa Springs has been a tourist attraction since the early 1900s. Now the water here, Susan, crystal clear, as clean and brilliant.
Yes.
This is part of the springs, is it not?
It certainly is. It's just the flow of the water. It keeps it nice and fresh and clear. The springs attracts all kinds of fish, manatees. The water is warm coming out of the spring and clean, and they come in to enjoy that, especially during the cold weather. We'll get like 100 or so manatees in here on a cold morning. Birds come in. It's like a centerpiece of
So
the
the
place.
springs were here first,
They were.
and then came the animals.
And even back when the Native Americans were here, they lived around the spring, and they fished, and it supplied what they needed. And later, as the settlers moved in, they also appreciated the spring, and they had a walkway. They could get off the train and walk down and see the spring and marvel at it. So
What a marvelous place.
it is. It is. Everybody should come.
Now, this park dates back to how far?
The earliest attraction that was here was in the 1940s, and it was smaller, and then several different private owners had it.
And we should say that Ivan Tours was an animal trainer,
Yes.
and he worked between LA, Hollywood, and Florida.
Yes.
And he actually homed the animals here. They were snowbirds, weren't
That's
they?
right. And he had an arrangement with Bruce Norris, who owned the attraction then, to house the animals here during the winter months or when they weren't being used in the movies or on TV and so forth.
Eventually, the state of Florida purchased the land, and it became Homosassa Springs Wildlife State Park. We are here in this wonderful gem of a park, the Homosassa Springs State Wildlife Park.
Right.
It takes your breath away,
It does.
and it's a one of a kind. Tell us about what you do here that is so different than some of the other state parks that we have in the state of Florida.
Okay, we are the only state park, and there's like over 171, I think it's 174 now, state parks in Florida. We're the only one that has captive wildlife here. It's all native Florida wildlife, and it's not, none of the animals that you see here could survive in the wild. So we're sort of considered an assisted living facility for wildlife.
You're a sanctuary.
Yes, a sanctuary. I love that word. And they serve as ambassadors for their species. We try to give them the most natural conditions, habitats, food. We do animal enrichment with them to encourage their native natural behaviors and so forth, and to give them something to look forward to.
Most of the animal exhibits are situated along the springs. giving these residents an environment that closely mimics what they would have in the wild.
Oh,
Look at that. She's just showing off for you. Yeah.
It's the Florida manatees that is one of the biggest attractions here. These girls live around the main spring year-round. And with the underwater viewing area, visitors can see these big ladies up close without getting wet.
So Susan, we've got a pal here that's looking at us and peeking at us and just about as curious as we are with him. Is this a girl? Is this a boy? And how much does this creature weigh?
These are all girls that live here with us that are resident manatees because they don't want to encourage breeding of manatees in facilities. This one, and I can't see her mark, but it's one of our larger manatees, and probably 2,000 to 3,000 pounds.
We are truly in a fishbowl.
We are.
But you know, the manatees are just so fascinating and they're mystical and we love them. They look like such lovable creatures.
Yeah.
Why are we so enthralled with manatees?
They're such gentle creatures, and they're vegetarians, and so they're not at all aggressive in any way. They're just wonderful animals, and easy to watch, and they're curious. You can't dive here at our park, but if you're out with a dive shop in the river, they're so curious, they'll come right up to you.
But they are protected.
They are
and when
protected.
we do swim with the manatees, it's a don't touch.
Do not touch them.
Be very quiet.
Yes.
Don't upset them. But we still want to hug them. We want to get right up and squeeze them.
You'll have to buy one of our stuffed manatees.
Oh,
in the
okay.
gift
That's
shop,
how we
and
can
do
accomplish
that.
it.
But they're very gentle animals.
When the weather turns cold in Florida and the water temperature drops, these endangered mammals head to the springs throughout the state. During that time of year, this viewing area at Homosassa Springs will have hundreds of manatees who are in search of warmer water.
These are such gentle giants. We have come to love them and know them here in Florida, and a lot of people are learning about them. How do they fit into our ecosystem? And again, why is it so important that we protect these manatees?
I think it's extremely important because everything has a role in the ecosystem. Everything has, and other species rely upon the other species. So you can't take one thing out of it and not care about it. Even a mosquito has a role in the ecosystem, you know, so.
Are we winning the battle with keeping them safe?
We certainly are trying, and I hope so.
As the water continues to flow, you can't help but think how the springs connects us all and why preserving it is a necessity.
Homosassa Springs is called a first magnitude spring, meaning it discharges a large amount of water, at least 100 cubic feet per second, or about 65 million gallons a day. Coming up, during the time of early Florida settlers, this animal flourished. Now it's one of the most endangered mammals on Earth.
Every dog deserves a lifelong loving home. Dante's Den provides a pristine, comfortable haven for dogs that have been abandoned or surrendered by their owners. Every pup in our Joyful Dogs adoption program receives lots of love and attention, is properly immunized, spayed or neutered, and is in good health. Find your new furry best friend at Dante's Den. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN.
People have asked me what it'll cost to restore all the corals back the way they remember. But I have to ask them, what will it cost if we don't do anything?
Many active duty servicemen and women face a dilemma as they prepare for deployment. Who will look after their canine companion until they return? Dante's Den provides temporary boarding for their dogs as they serve. We honor the trust placed in us by members of the armed forces by giving their furry friends loving care, spacious dens, on-site veterinary care, and plenty of room to run and play. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN.
Welcome back. Florida panthers are solitary and extremely elusive, so you can imagine how rare it is to actually see one in person. That's why we were so excited to get a chance to observe one of these mysterious cats. Look at this guy behind us.
Yes.
This is a statue of Yuma, who is right behind us.
Exactly. And
He is a Florida panther,
correct.
very endangered,
Very endangered.
but we love him. Tell us how Yuma got here.
Yuma was found by biologists in the Panther Preserve, and they were checking on the females and that they knew that they were raising young, and this one had been left behind. And they could have left it there, or they
made the right decision.
Their heart made the right decision, and they took him. He was 10 days old. His eyes were not open yet. He was very dehydrated, and they brought him to an emergency animal hospital in Naples, Florida. And once they got him going better, then he went to Lowry Park Zoo for a while, and then April 3rd he came up here to us, and he was about 3 months old at that point.
And he will live out his life here
He
at
will,
the park.
because when he opened his eyes, he saw people, and then they become imprinted. And like most of the animals you see here and the birds you see in the park, could not survive in the wild.
We hear that the Panther Preserve is down in the southern part of the state. And we say to ourselves, we know that they're great walkers and runners, but really they come from the lower part of the state all the way up here?
There are some that that are traveling through the central part of the state up to the Gainesville area, and they might be starting another group up there. Every once in a while there'll be one passing through this area, but they don't stay.
According to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, they estimate there's only 120 to 230 adult Florida panthers left in the wild, making the Florida panther one of the world's most endangered animals. The biggest threat? Habitat loss. Florida panthers need miles and miles of undeveloped land to roam. And with more and more development popping up, it's important to have places like state parks where the Florida panther's habitat is protected.
We hope that our Yuma and our Cicada, which are our two panthers here, live a real long life. Everything has a role in the ecosystem, and they are magnificent animals, so we don't want to lose them. But so glad that these two were able to be saved.
It's hard to track how many are actually in the wild, but researchers are trying. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission has a website designated to tracking Florida panthers. They're asking the public to send in pictures and tips on any sightings. For more information, log on to the FWC's website. Now here's a fun fact for you. Lions and tigers can do it. Roar! But did you know the Florida panther does not roar? Instead, a panther will make other noises like chirps, growls, and of course, purrs. Remember, we said all the animals at the Homosassa Springs Wildlife State Park are native to Florida. Well, that is true for all but one. We'll introduce you to Lou next.
You can be sure your furry friend continues to be loved and cared for even when you can no longer be there for them. Dante's Den provides a permanent, loving home for dogs whose owners have set up a lifetime care program for their beloved companion. We honor the trust placed in us by providing loving care, spacious dens, on-site veterinary care, and plenty of room to run and play. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES Den. Dante's Den, continuing the love.
That is a pretty good breakfast. You're not even eating.
Not hungry.
No? Why not? What's up?
Kath and I knew that Jenny had been partying a bit. Found out she tried heroin.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
Here's today's Job of the Day. ABC7 is seeking a part-time digital media producer to write and post fresh, engaging content to our website. Excellent writing skills and newsroom experience required. Visit mysuncoast.com/joboftheday to apply.
When money's tight and emergencies arise, CashNetUSA.com is available 24/7 to deliver quick loans for approved customers when they need it the most.
Apply now at CashNetUSA.com.
Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
As a financial expert, I tell people if you want to be successful with your credit, Credit Sesame is the best place to start. Hi, I'm Lynette Kalfani-Cox, the Money Coach. Maybe you want to buy a car, a home, or just remove some financial stress. Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score. Then they'll show you what's impacting your score and suggest a strategy to better manage it. Credit Sesame even recommends lending options that can save you money. Best part? It's 100% free. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
A hippopotamus is not an animal you will find in the wild here in the United States. These large mammals live on another continent, Africa. But for Lou the hippo, his home is Florida. In fact, at one time, the governor of the state granted Lou Florida citizenship. Susan, we're here with a real celebrity, aren't we?
You certainly are.
And how many pounds are we looking at?
We're looking at 6,000 pounds.
Of romping, stomping fun, as they say.
Yes. When he's feeling good, that's romping, stomping fun.
So what we have here is a hippopotamus.
That's correct.
Named Lou.
Just L-U.
L-U, okay.
Yes.
And he originally was born, I understand, at the San Diego Zoo, which is an outstanding zoo.
It is.
But how did he find his way here to Florida?
All right. He was born in 1960 at San Diego Zoo. And he became part of, as a real young hippo, they used him as part of Ivan Tour's Animal Actors. And they did movies with animals, and they directed the animals. And at the time, the park was then an attraction. It was owned by Bruce Norris, and he cooperated with Ivan Tours, who needed a place to winter his animals when they weren't filming. And so the animals will come here during the winter months and then go in the summer, and they do their filming. And
so they were true snowbirds.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were.
Now we do have to ask the question, because we've heard so much over the many years about how these animals are trained, and of course we're hoping that no abuse was used. What was Mr. Tour's way of teaching these animals? Ivan
Tours was one of the first animal trainers to use what he called affection training, so he did not abuse the animals. And he started that whole movement.
Susan, he's a special celebrity, isn't he? Thanks to the state of Florida and Governor Childs.
Because when we became a state park, the state parks usually have just native Florida animals. So some of the exotics we found homes for, but when the local community and the local newspaper found out that maybe Lou was going someplace else, thousands of people wrote letters in, and they were sent up to the Governor Lawton Childs at the time, and he grandfathered him in and made him a native Florida resident.
Well, he is super special, isn't he?
He is super special.
How old is Lou at this point?
Lou just celebrated his 58th birthday, in January 26th. He has a big party every year. In people years, that would be the equivalent of about 80 years old. So he's the oldest living hippopotamus in North and South America.
Now, how would you say his health is?
He is, he's got geriatric issues, as most people who are about 80 years old wouldn't. He has arthritis, and he had some skin issues that are doing much better. The cold, we had some really cold weather this winter, and that was hard on him. So he's under veterinary care. In fact, our veterinarian is here in the park today, and he checks on all our animals. But he is on medications, and since they started those medications, he is doing extremely better than he was.
Now, in speaking to your veterinarian, he told me this phenomenal amount of ibuprofen that he takes. What is that number?
I think it's 100 a day. And they put it in fruit, and they were putting it in cantaloupe, and he takes it very easily that way. And now he's gotten tired of cantaloupe, so now I think it's pears. But it all gets in. So.
He has led a wonderful life. He's been very blessed to be here. What message does Lou give to all of us by being here and being so well taken care of by the park?
I think all our animals are ambassadors for their species. And most of the animals here, almost everything you see here, couldn't survive in the wild. They've been imprinted, they've been injured, so they wouldn't survive in the wild. And after, of course, he's been like raised by people since birth and been associated with people, so he is very imprinted. I mean, he would never survive in the
Well,
wild.
he's lovable. You just want to hug him. So should we watch his morning swim?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's.
In his early days, Lou was famous for the movies he was in. And now in his later years, Lou is still just as popular. So much, in fact, that he even has his own Facebook page. Stay with us. There's more Animal Outtakes to come.
Every dog deserves a lifelong loving home. Dante's Den provides a pristine, comfortable haven for dogs that have been abandoned or surrendered by their owners. We ensure that every pup in our Joyful Dogs adoption program receives lots of love and attention, is properly immunized, spayed or neutered, and is in good health. Prospective pet parents undergo a thorough adoption review to ensure a lifetime of love and care. Find your new furry best friend at Dante's Den. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN. Dante's Den, continuing the love.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $15 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand with no surprises and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 4 times in a row. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and start your 30-day risk-free trial today. Call 800-457-2317, go online, or visit a Target store today.
Invest in Kids is a $7.5 million project to build a new Boys and Girls Club in South Manatee County. I'm Caleb Grimes, and I was a club kid. It's where I learned important life lessons, leadership, integrity, responsibility, and baseball. Thousands of kids attend the Boys and Girls Clubs, and after years of use, their club is slowly falling apart. Help us invest in kids. Make your donation today.
Thank you!
When you take an animal and you have them in captivity, you not only want to take care of their physical needs, but their emotional needs too. And that's what enrichment does. Sometimes it gets messy because they want to take things apart and rip things apart. But we give them the opportunity to do that. Enrichment activities are planned based on an animal's behavior. The enrichment volunteers have done research on some of the behaviors that they do. For instance, cats like to play with balls. So we get big boomerang balls and we put them in there, and every once in a while they go and play with them. Of course, everybody's favorite enrichment is food. We don't want to have overweight animals, so what happens is we take the food out of their regular diet. And sometimes they'll put it in a little cardboard tube, or we'll disguise it for them, put it in a box so they have to open it up. The idea is to get them interested and make them work a little for their food. We do auditory enrichment where we play sounds for them and see what their reaction is. The volunteers who work in this they're very motivated. They're always coming up with new ideas. They're doing research, and the whole purpose is to keep the animals engaged. Before we did enrichment, all I saw the fox do was sleep. But now all I have to do is walk by there and they pep up, they perk. It gives the volunteers the opportunity to get a whole new dimension in understanding the animals. Because not only do you understand the species, but the personalities of the individual animals.
We hope you had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. Zeus and I will be back here again next week with even more animals and some wild adventures. Until then, thanks for watching.
Is this the best job you've ever had?
I always say I do it even if they don't pay me. Oh, that's right, they don't.
CashNet USA is trusted by over 2 million customers.
Perfect. When I lean back, I trust that you will be there to catch me. Okay, bad idea, bad idea.
Apply now at CashNetUSA.com.
Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
Monday on ABC 7 News at 7.
Verizon cannot complete your call at this time, so then I waited 10 minutes and I tried it again, and that didn't work. That's a problem for a lot of people because a lot of people only use their cell phone these days.
When you depend on your cell phone, what do you do when there's a massive outage like last month? Are there ways we can use our phones without service? I'm Alan Cohn. There is never an outage at the Trapezoid.
Monday on ABC 7 News at 7. Your Suncoast News. We're here for you. news, plus First Alert, weather, and traffic focused on where you live. Watch Good Morning Suncoast on ABC 7, weekdays starting at 5. Keep up with the Suncoast. Watch your favorite ABC 7 shows on your streaming device.